All right. I am live for session number 3. 3 weeks in a row I've turned up. So well done, Cooks. I'm proud of myself. And as always, this is the most nervy moment. It's 2 minutes until the live officially starts. And I always get nervous if anyone is going to turn up and join me at the Entrepreneurs Coffee Club. I've got some stories to share. I was doing some pretty cool stuff yesterday and this whole week. Challenges as always with businesses, and a lot of learning as well this week that I'd love to share with people. Hopefully people turn up. Let's see how it goes. I'm not quite sure what to do during these quiet moments. Do I fill the gaps? Because I do know that this goes onto YouTube as a whole video. So actually, I can edit this afterwards, so I don't need to say that much. But if you are in the chat, it seems like there's 2 people here already. If you are, just say hello. It'd be great to have you in the chat. Say hello. Let me know that I'm not alone. And I will do my best to try and add more and more people. I've shared it out everywhere. A bit last minute, actually. I only gave 15 minutes notice today. Last week, I think it was half an hour's notice. I need to figure out what the sweet spot is to let people know. But yeah, it takes a lot of promotion to just remind people that this is happening weekly, because people forget. People's lives are busy. But yeah, if you are here in the chat, it looks like there's 2 people so far. Drop me a hello, drop me a message, drop me a H, a Y, just anything in the chat. Let me know that you're here and we are good to go. And I'll be quiet for a minute. Let's have a little sip whilst I wait. Got the coffee at the ready. So I am going to do a bit of a practice run whilst I'm waiting for people to join. Yesterday, I was filming the first episode of the Entrepreneurs Coffee Club podcast with my good friends Sunny and KP. In fact, they're like brothers from another mother. They are founders. They set up something called the Founders Club, which is, in my opinion, one of the best members clubs in London. And it just allows you to connect with incredible people, many of who have been on this chat. And we made connections with. I know them personally as well. I made good friends from the community, which is fantastic. And we just talked about the journey of being a founder, what that looks like, how they set up Founders Club. But what's really interesting is that Sunny and KP, they are quite fortunate in that they get to sit around the table with successful and hyper successful people in business. So people are, who are doing tens of millions, hundreds of millions of pounds worth of business. In fact, some billionaires as well. And so I was sitting there and I was asking them, look, what do you learn from these people? Like, how are they different from everyone else? How do they act differently? What do they do that's different? It was just a really interesting bunch of conversations that I was having with them. And they were saying that there's a couple of key things that come out of the conversations that they have with like billionaires and deca millionaires. I can't remember the term, but anyone that's doing £100 million plus. And it's this. So I will share this again later. Hopefully more people join. Oh, more and more people are joining now. Amazing. So if you're here, you're saying hello. Say hello in the chat, please. Let me know you're here and who it is. I'd love to just shout you out and say thank you for joining me this morning. Got the coffee at the ready. I've got some water as well because I talk a lot during this session. So drop a message in the chat. Let me know you're here. Tell me your name if I can't see your name. And I'm going to share, bear with me 1 second, details of a conversation that I had yesterday. Hey, Claudia, good morning. Oh, you got your tea. I love that. Mr. Singh's in the house. Rav, what's happening? 10 rounds of boxing. So I was just practicing. I was practicing because no one was here. But what I was talking about was that yesterday I was filming the first episode of the Entrepreneurs Coffee Club podcast. And I met with friends of mine who own something called the Founders Club, which I'll go into in a minute. But they are fortunate enough in that they get to sit around the table with millionaires and actually billionaires. Yeah, people that are doing £100 million worth of business, plus people who have done billions of pounds worth of business. And I was asking them, like, what's so different about them when it comes to business? How do they operate? What's the difference between someone that's doing, £50,000, £100,000 a year, maybe even £1 million a year, but then someone goes to that next level and just has insane growth? So here's what they were telling me. Here's what the successful people do. So if this resonates with you, write this down, make a note of it, or watch this video back. But here's what they do. Super successful people move very, very quickly. so quickly, in fact, that an action is taken within 24 hours. So Sonny was telling me that he'd had a chat with someone, and that was in the evening, like 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, and then the very next morning he's got an email of complete actions that are going to be happening from that conversation that happened the night before. So we're going to meet at this date, we're going to be doing this thing at this time for this amount, X, Y, and Z. So they move ultra fast, and they just trust their gut. They are very, very decisive people. So when it comes to making a decision, a lot of us, we can take a long time to make a decision. We think too much, we overthink things. But these people, they seem to just act very fast, and they go on their gut, which is incredible. Other things that billionaires and multimillionaires do different to most people is that they work on simplification. So the rest will be worked out was a phrase that was shared with me yesterday. So once they start a project, they know fundamentally that this project is going to work, and then they just start. Whereas a lot of us, myself included, we put things off until we think that they're perfect. But things are never perfect. But these people who are ultra successful, they are, as I said, they move very quick, but they act on simplicity as well. Here's my product, here's the price, I'm going to sell it, and then off they go. Another interesting component is that they are always on a growth path. I'm just looking at my notes. So they're always on a growth path. They're always learning. They're always looking for opportunities to learn and be better. They're never really satisfied with where they are, which I thought was quite fascinating. They also operate with no fear, which I thought was quite powerful as well. So oftentimes we think, oh, what if I do this, then this thing might happen, or if I don't do this, then this thing might happen. These people seem to operate without fear. Like, yeah, granted, yeah, money is no question, so they can do that in one way, but also just taking action is without fear because they believe in themselves and their plan so much and their idea so much. They do a lot of self-reflection as well. So I thought that was quite powerful because it's the hardest thing in the world to do, is to look at yourself in the mirror and go, actually, that's where I'm weak, or that's where I'm not so weak, and that's where I need to improve. But apparently, this is what these people do. They do a lot of self-reflection, often, almost daily, to find out where their weak spots are and to work on those weak spots. And the other thing that stood out was that these people who are really successful, they focus on one goal. They say, I'm going to do this one thing, and I'm not going to go beyond doing that one thing until I've done that one thing. So they remain really, really focused, and that goal is crystal clear until it gets achieved. Whereas for a lot of us, we get this shiny object syndrome where we do something, we maybe don't see a bit of progress, so we jump to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But these guys don't. They just stay quite focused on what it is that they're working on. And another thing they got from an advice perspective is, if you set a goal in your business and you want to achieve something, and it's quite an ambitious goal and maybe a bit scary for you, one thing that stood out from the conversation I had yesterday was that the advice that they gave is to go and speak with someone that is where you want to be with your business, and just ask them to help you. Because oftentimes these people that are super successful, you feel like they won't be that helpful and they're going to be too busy. But actually, a lot of people, they want to talk about their business, and they want to talk about their journey and how they've got there, especially when they're really successful, and they'll be willing to help you go on that path, which is amazing. Being laser focused is hard but necessary. Adnan, how's it going, mate? I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you joining me. It's good to have a friend in the house. So Adnan actually does a lot of things. I'll let you fill it in the chat. But you're right. Being laser focused on one thing is so hard because it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to get disheartened when things don't work out immediately or they don't go to plan. But it seems like these people that are ultra successful, and I suppose the same applies as well, not just in business but in life. Like, I was watching a documentary that's called Sprint on Netflix, and you've got Noah Lyles on there that wants to win the Olympic gold medal. Shakari Richardson, all these people, Sharika Johnson from Jamaica, they want to win a gold medal. They've got a goal, and they are laser focused to an absolute next level on achieving that goal, which was really admirable. Because, like I said, when you're in the day to day, so many things can get in the way of you achieving your goal that it becomes hard. But look, the more and more people seem to be joining the chat. Say hello. I'd love to know who you are, what you're doing. I'm going to share the question that I always share because I think it's such a great one for all you new people. If I had just met you, what's something that I would never guess about you? Having just met you, what's something that I would never guess about you? Oh, Bam Bam. Bam Bam's in the house. Bam Bam's one of the best. Bam, tell us, what's one thing that we would never guess about you if someone had just met you? Let's hear something interesting. Rav, you can't use meditation again. Every week it's the same thing. Claudia, it'd be great to know from you as well. What's something, if someone had just met you, what's something that they would never guess about you? So it's a good way to get to know people as well. Oh my, Rav, you've meditated for 140 days in a row, 142 days in a row. Well, I want to know something new. I know that now because you've told me every single week. I need to know something new now. That's my brother, by the way. Appreciate the support in the chat. Um, whilst people are chatting, whilst people are typing, I hope. So the question is, more and more people have just joined. What's something I would never guess about you, having just met you, that I tell everyone to relax, but deep inside I'm stressed. Oh, nice. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. That's an interesting one. What makes you stressed? If you don't mind me, if you don't mind sharing, what makes you stressed? Rav just did 10 rounds of boxing without gassing out. Well done, Rav. Stamina in the house. All right, look, let's talk business. Let's share what's the challenges in business this week. What's worked for you? What's not worked for you? What can we solve in the chat? What opportunities are you looking for? The more you put in the chat, the more we can make things happen, and the more that we can create. So for the last 2 weeks, I'm only 3 weeks in, but for the last 2 weeks in the chat, I've managed to create opportunities for different people. Oh, Butch is in the house. Amasahota. I think I know Amasahota. I think I know her. I'm interested in the body and love dissecting things. That is kind of gross, but very cool. I appreciate you guys all joining and keeping me company on this one. But yeah, like I said, in the last 2 weeks, I've managed to make connections in the chat where people have actually gone away, started to do business and exploring business together. Not having a product because we sold out, but trying to stay consistent on social media. Yeah, that is a challenge. How else can you tell your story without the product? You have to then, I suppose, you have to dive into your storytelling, right? Dissect the story into absolute detail. Every single component can then in itself become a story, and that can be quite interesting. And still, it creates. I mean, it's content, right? You're putting something out which is part of the story, is building the story consistently. And I suppose if there is a goal to that content, so if it's just keeping people entertained, then you can go quite wide with it. If it's trying to get people to sign up something, obviously the content reflects that. But you know this. All right, what else? What other problems? What other challenges are you facing in your business? I know, Butch, you just started a business. What's your current challenge? We were talking about meta ads the other day. Any other challenges? Let's see. Thanks, great advice. Appreciate that, Raf. Anyone else? Anyone else? A question. Whilst start again. Whilst I was doing the podcast yesterday, it was suggested that I start the podcast with the following question. So please, everyone, answer in the chat. How do you take your coffee? How do you take your coffee? My order is normally a blonde roast soya latte from Starbucks. Blonde roast, very subtle, very nice. Espresso. I don't know how people do that. Black coffee, straight, no sugar, no milk, or espresso. Espresso, okay. Espresso I can get because it's a short. Flat white, one sugar. Apparently, the flat white is the most popular coffee in the UK. Caramel flat white. I've never had a caramel flat white before. I used to get a caramel macchiato until I realized how many calories were in there. Then I stopped. Hey, Avanish, triple espresso. Oh my god, you must stay up for weeks. That is insane. A triple espresso. That is mental. Avinash, what's your business? Claudia, I'm not a coffee person, but when I take it, it's plain, no sugar. Oh yeah, you're having a tea right now. Claudia, tell everyone about your business, and let's see if we can make some connections for you. I'll let you do the talking, and then I'll fill in the blanks. And Avinash as well, let us know about your business. Butch, tell us about your business. Let's make some connections. Blonde flat white. I need to try it actually. I've never tried a blonde flat white. I can't comment on that. I feel like for promotion of this channel, I'm going to have to create another email list as well. So I'm using WhatsApp. That's my current challenge for this. I'm using WhatsApp, Instagram. I should put it on LinkedIn, and I'm going to create an email list. And I'll try and share it out to as many people as I possibly can. The other challenge is like staying consistent. Who was talking about consistency earlier? Fashion, events, lifestyle, luxury, industry compliance. Wait, so you've got one, two, three businesses? Is that right, Avinash? Share some, if you can, share some website links. That'd be pretty cool. Claudia's there. So Claudia's got a yoga business, or she's about to launch her yoga business in Manchester. Very exciting opportunity. I'll let her fill in the gaps, but she's got a very unique angle. We were talking about it on Wednesday. Oh, combined services, Avinash. Well, that's quite a combination. But currently design and sell t-shirts on Amazon, looking at the markets in the US, UK. We have the ideas for bazillions of businesses, but the consistency, yeah, that's the hard thing. Shiny object syndrome. I'm a big sufferer of shiny object syndrome. And I came across, all right, so let me share something I came across that might help you with that problem. I was being coached on like my business, and this came up as a problem. So I got introduced to a tool called the car park, the Ideas car park. And it's literally like a bit of paper with car parking slots. And on that bit of paper, you write down your ideas in the car parking slot. So the idea is parked, and it's not necessarily disappeared then, but you've still got that idea written down somewhere, so you don't feel like you've missed out on it. But the act of kind of getting it out of your head down on paper means that you've at least done something with it, and you don't necessarily have to then start following it through, but at least it's out of your head, and then you can go back to focusing on what your priority is in your life, in your business at that time. So yeah, really cool tool that worked for me. So I'm hopeful it will work for you if you try it out. But yeah, staying consistent 100% is the hardest thing in the world. Like when I'm coaching people, and essentially it's what I get paid for, is helping them to implement their plans. It's helping them to stay consistent. It's helping them to be is holding people accountable to the things that they say that they were going to do but never actually end up doing, or you give up after a short period of time because life gets in the way. And doing those basics every single day, sometimes without a result initially, is probably the hardest thing in the world. And but it's also the thing that brings the most success, right? Staying consistent. There's a great book actually called The Compound Effect, which I listened to 5 times in a row. I don't think I've got a copy of it here, but he talks about consistency in that book, and it resonated so much. I had to just re-listen to it because the principles were so strong. Right, let me know what's worked well for you in your business this week. Like it's one thing talking about some of the challenges, but what has worked well for you in business this week? Like any marketing strategies or campaigns, any like new tools that you're using, AI. What's worked well for you in your business? Analytics tools, anything like that? Let me know. What has worked well in your business this week? Oh man, I need some water. I've just seen that. Butch is bougie. Yeah, he is. What has worked well in your business this week? As a coach, what tools do you use to stay consistent? Thanks for the question, Emma. I appreciate it. What tools do I use to stay consistent? For me, it's having my goals written out. My goal, because I need to keep it simple. My goal written out and stuck on the wall, so I can see it every single day, and that reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've broken it down into what I need to do weekly, so that I remember why I need to be consistent. And then I use like my diary to plan out my work and make sure that I'm always doing the priority stuff first. So the big things that are going to move me forward. I hope that answers your question. There's actually a great book called Eat That Frog. And the short version is that imagine you were stuck in a jungle and you would run out of food, and the only food available was a giant, slimy, weird looking frog. So you put it off for a day. You don't do it. You try and look around for some berries, but you're still hungry. You put it off for another day. You put it off, you put it off, you put it off until you get to the point that you're that hungry, you're that desperate. The first thing that you're going to have to do when you wake up in the morning is eat that frog, because by eating that frog, it will give you energy, and then you can go out and escape the jungle. Um, the frog is that big, ugly thing that you put off doing every single day, but you know that if you do that thing first, it's going to move you forward. So like oftentimes I know when I'm working with people that they'll do emails first, or they'll do the design work first, or they'll do the fun thing first because it's the easiest thing to do. But doing that big hard thing, the big ugly task that you don't want to do, is the one that's going to move you forward the most. Like for some people it's making a sales call, like literally picking up the phone, not sending an email, not sending a text, but picking up the phone and making a sales call. For me, discipline equals consistency. Discipline equals consistency. Yeah. Yeah. Discipline with, but again, it's hard. Discipline is tough for a lot of people because there's so many distractions, right? Discipline's so tough for a lot of people. And even if there's no distractions, like if you don't have that habit of having good discipline, it's a skill. Like the good news is that it's a skill that can be learned. But if you have never been shown how to build that skill of discipline, or you've got no framework or tools to make yourself disciplined, it's such a hard thing to do. And oftentimes like people get to a point of like where their pain in life has got so much that they're forced to then have to become disciplined. Like health is a great example where, I don't know, someone gets to such an unhealthy stage in their life that they have a heart attack. Then they're forced to go to the gym and stay consistent at the gym so they can lose weight to avoid that big heart operation or whatever it is that they need to be doing. Um, but yeah, oftentimes it takes this big like painful trigger for people to learn, like be forced to be disciplined and to be forced to be consistent. And oftentimes we're not taught this as a kid. I think that's why that people are kind of talking about the idea of bringing back like national service and things like that, because I mean, politics aside, the army, for example, is a great example of discipline. Like you're taught discipline from a young age. You're taught discipline from day one, and oftentimes it's why like military people, when they come out and if they do go into business, they do really great at business because they're great at discipline and structure and organization and doing like little things every single day, which is what you need for business. um, we just had some more people joining the chat. Thank you everyone for joining. If you've just joined in now, let me know in the chat who you are. Say hello, please, so I can say hello back to you, give you a shout out. I'm trying to make some connections as well in the chat, so let me know what type of opportunities you're looking for, what's going to help your business, what's going to help you grow today. um, the last 2 weeks I've managed to make connections, and people have gone offline, they've connected on like LinkedIn or WhatsApp or whatever, followed each other on Instagram, and then they've managed to start talking about doing some new business together. So I'd love to be able to do that today as well, and get my hat trick 3 weeks in a row of connections being made and opportunities being created. That would be fantastic. So if you've just joined, participate in the chat, because I need you to participate in the chat in order for me to connect with you and carry on sharing. We were just talking about discipline, and we were just talking about consistency, and how challenging that can be if you've never been shown how to do that, or you don't have a driver that's strong enough to make you consistent and disciplined every single day. I was also asking about what your favorite type of coffee is, or how you take your coffee. I got shared one yesterday, by the way. A coconut cappuccino at the River restaurant in the Savoy. So KP, who runs Founders Club, that was his choice. I might need to go down there to check that out. I've never been to the River restaurant, but it sounds fantastic. It sounds delicious. Apparently, it's got a hint of coconut. Um, to all the new people that joined as well, I filmed the first episode of the Entrepreneurs Coffee Club podcast yesterday with the founders of Founders Club, which is a club I'm a part of. And they get to sit around the table with like millionaires and billionaires. And when I say millionaires, people that have done hundreds of millions of pounds worth of business or sold their businesses for like tens of millions of pounds. And I asked them, like, what makes those types of people so different to everyone else? Like, why do they go from like here to that next insane level? And this is what they shared. So I'll share it again because there's some new people that have joined. And if you heard it before and anything resonates this time around, write it down and maybe you could do something with it. So, what makes these people super successful is that number one, they move very, very quickly, insanely quickly. The example was that they went to a meeting, Sunny and KP went to a meeting on a Tuesday night. By the Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., they had an email from the person they went to the meeting with actions, well, from their PA, that actions that are going to take place to make this project come to life. So it was less than 24 hours, and they moved very quickly. They're also, the number two is that they are very decisive. Ultra successful people are very decisive. They don't and about things. They trust their gut. They know at a top level that this thing is going to work, and then they go for it. They made their decision. There's no turning back. They also work in simplicity. So oftentimes we can be quite guilty of like overcomplicating things and trying to think through too many things to remove the risks. Whereas what they do is actually work in a very simple way. Here's my product. I know there's a demand for it. It's a good price. I can make this margin, bang, and then off they go. The other thing that millionaires and billionaires do, so point number four, is that they are always on a growth path. So they never say they know what they're talking about. They are always looking to learn and better themselves, which I thought was brilliant. They also act without fear. That fears for all of us, like limiting beliefs for all of us, really do hold us back in so many different ways. Whether it's fear around money, relationships, speaking, picking up the phone, that fears hold us back. But these people seem to operate without fear. They do a lot of self-reflection, so self-analysis to identify where gaps are in their own psyche, and that's often the hardest thing to do because you have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, actually, that's not good enough. I want to be better here, or I made a mistake at this point, so I have to be better. So self-reflection was a big thing. They also focused on one goal rather than getting distracted, and we talked about this earlier in the chat. The shiny object syndrome, trying to do too many different things at the same time. They focus on one goal and they are relentless towards that goal and achieving that goal. And finally, the advice they gave is that if you want to be successful and you've got a vision for what your business is, speak to someone that's at that place, and they will actually quite gladly share their experiences with you, and what it took for them to be successful and to get to that place. So yeah, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points that I learned about from the podcast yesterday. By the way, if anyone knows an editor or can recommend an editor for YouTube videos or podcast videos, let me know, because the guy that I was going to use is unavailable now. So I've got no idea how to do this, and I do need an editor. So if you've got any connections with editors, let me know. Put it in the chat or DM me. Most people here know me, I think, in the chat. So yeah, let me know who I can use. Otherwise, it's back to people per hour for me. Let me have a look at what else came out of that conversation. Poverty breeds opportunistic mindsets. That was quite a powerful one. What? Let me ask you guys in the chat. What's like a quote, a learning? What's something that you've come across that has like really changed your mindset on how you thought about things and how you acted? Like, share it in the chat because I'd love to learn. I'm going to write this stuff down, and who knows what will come of it. But yeah, what's kind of blown your mind from a learning perspective, or a quote, or a video, or a clip that you saw on social media? Charging him double. I don't get that. Charging who double? Oh, I'm gonna come back to that one. That one doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, what have you come across that's helped you? Oh, that I need an editor. Oh, I see. I see. I do need, yeah, but I don't know if you could do a YouTube video. Rakesh. Hey Rakesh, how you doing? Appreciate you joining. I'm not sure like whereabouts you joined, but I appreciate you you saying it's an interesting topic of discussion. What I was asking about is what type of learnings have you come across that have kind of changed your mind on how you operate and how you progress forward in life? Like for me, it's like a daily thing. I see myself as someone that knows nothing, and so therefore, every time I read something or come across something, I'm like, oh my god, that is mind blowing. That is incredible. Um, I was in yeah, I was having hosting an interview yesterday, and immense amounts of learnings came out of it. Um, I say I'm a lot. I need to work on that. All right. When live streaming next time, I say I'm a lot. I'll make a note of this to work on removing that from my speech. Bear in mind, this is my third week hosting this live, so I'm extremely grateful for everyone that's participated over the last couple of weeks and has joined today. I am still looking to make some connections in the chat. The last 2 weeks, 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, people have been able to connect with one another in the chat, follow each other on social media, and so and then go ahead and make business opportunities for themselves. So I would love for that to happen again in the chat this week. Oh man, that is a bad habit. Okay, self-reflection. Okay, that is a self-reflection. I say during the videos, something to work on. Okay, so question. Oh, Rav, you've just shared 2 books: The Chimp Paradox and The Power of Now. Changed my life. Okay, what about those books? If you were to summarize like one sentence of those books, what changed your life in those 2 books? Because ultimately, the other thing that I'm learning is that I said again. The other thing I'm learning is how we are as people, the way in which we conduct ourselves with money, with other people, with our day-to-day life. We take those habits and behaviors into our business, and a business as an entity tends to reflect us. And the more we can identify how to make ourselves better, strangely, that translates into our businesses and makes our businesses better. Rakesh, as a business owner, I've noticed being in the right place at the right time. Uh, I hear you. I hear you on that, and I feel like. Let me ask you this: do you feel like being in the right place at the right time is luck, or do you make your own luck? Because if you are always prepared, if you are always open to opportunity, if you are always open to connecting, then in theory and in hindsight, you are going to be in the right place at the right time. Our mind, Rav has shown, our mind is more powerful than we can ever imagine. Nothing really matters except right now. The past and future are gone. They are fugazi. Fugazi, my Italian brothers and sisters. That means fake, by the way. Fugazi. So a great quote that I came across, reiterating what Rav just shared, is that the the past is gone, the future doesn't exist, only today is real. Fugazi. Let them theory has been incredible at letting me focus on what I can do. Yeah, that has been a game changer. Let them theory. Shout out to Mel Robbins, changing lives, millions of lives and relationships across the world. Interestingly enough, I had a conversation about Mel Robbins the other day when I was hosting my session on Monday, my coaching session on Monday, and nothing she is saying is new. Like nothing she is saying is new. It's all stuff that she's learned, and she's sharing that knowledge in her own way and in her own voice with her own stories, and it's connecting with people because it's been repackaged in her voice, which I thought was quite powerful because I've always struggled with, oh, something has to be new and exciting and fresh, but actually There's 8 billion people on the planet and billions more have gone before us. Nothing is new. Rakesh, make my own luck. Going to mixed events, turning up helps, being motivated, hardcore gymming helps. For real, hardcore gymming, we were talking about discipline earlier and consistency. You know, being able to turn up at the gym weekly or taking care of your fitness and your health weekly, the discipline to do that is next level. And then when you add the discipline of your food into that as well, that that has some kind of magical effect on you as a person, and it translates into your day-to-day life, because in order to be successful in the gym and with your food, you have to be disciplined, and in order to be disciplined to do that stuff, other parts of your life have to fall into place, otherwise it's impossible. If anyone wants a free consultation, happy to help. Free consultation, doing what, Rakesh? That'd be really great to understand. Free consultation. Sorry, I can't see your business. I can just see like your logo. It says N8. Preparation plus opportunity equals luck. Preparation plus opportunity equals luck. Oh, architects, architects. Who's? I swear there was someone that's looking to build a property, or they're doing something with their property. Rakesh, share the link to your to your. I said Rakesh, can you share the link to your business and to your social media as well, please? Share the link to your business and your social media, and we can at least share it on our social medias and give you further exposure to what you have already. That would be a great start point. I actually work with a lot of architects. A lot of architects. There was someone in your live last week looking for an architect. Yeah, I'll have to watch it back. I can't remember who it was. But you're right. There was someone looking for an architect last week. I'm in a WhatsApp group with 200 architects, and it is a challenging industry to be in. Really fascinating industry, but really challenging one to be in. So people, for the most part, Rakesh, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you're doing something different, I need to hear it, because I hear this a lot. People do not understand the value an architect brings to the table, and therefore it's difficult for fees to be justified in the right way. And oftentimes people see architectural fees as a cost. You've worked with a lot of architects, but I am the chosen one. I've got the best one in the house. I've got the best one in the house. That's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be great to learn from you, because I work with a lot of architects. I've coached a lot of architects, and the one challenge is, and some of you may be able to relate to this, is that we as especially if you're a specialist, like let's say you're a baker or an architect or a mechanic, you go into business and you do the thing, like you are the product. And as an entrepreneur, you have to then switch from being the product to then also being a manager as you start to bring people in, and then moving from being a manager to being an entrepreneur, which is a business builder. And that's a completely different skill set. And a lot of the people that I work with, especially in architecture and in engineering and the built environment space, making that transition is unknown, A, and then B is quite hard, because they've studied for years and years and years to be the architect, the engineer, the dentist. And so learning to build a business is a secondary skill set, which takes a lot of time, especially if you've never done it before. And oftentimes, as a professional, you would have spent 7 to 10 years learning to be the best architect, engineer, dentist, professional, lawyer, whatever the thing is. And so little time actually learning how to build a business, like most of us. Like, no one's really taught how to build a business, and it should be. And I don't think you should be allowed to open a business until you've done at least a basic business course of some kind that teaches you the fundamentals of what it takes to be successful remotely successful in business, like sales, your marketing, your admin, your systems, your processes, your recruitment, all of it, all of it. There's so many different aspects of business that you have to figure out as you go along, and that can cause a lot of problems. Um, I said again. I should have an jar instead of a swear jar. I need to do that. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram actually called not admin, hire someone to do that. I hear you. Admin is the worst. And also, like, I know I'm not very good at it. It takes me forever to do admin. I have to like really use a lot of brain power. It just takes forever. Woo! Might have to have a very strong coffee next week. Irish it up. That's not allowed. Irish coffee at 9:45 in the morning. That is definitely not allowed. But then someone then people will say, "Oh, it's 12 o'clock somewhere." It's mad to me. Some people love admin. Yeah, exactly. It's true though. Like people love different things. Like there's oh, I said again. There's a test that anyone that knows me knows I love doing these personality tests to try and figure myself out. And one of the best ones I did was called Wealth Dynamics, and it was so powerful because it shows you your path to wealth and what you should stick to and what you're good at. And for me, I'm a creator, which means I can come up with ideas, I can share a vision, I can create things and get them off the ground and get them moving. And then after that, I'm terrible at everything else. The follow through, the details, the building of things, I'm not that good at. And by doing that, it made me realize my shortcomings. And I had to find someone that, as much as I love creating, they love systems and processes and organizations and checklists and the admin stuff that I'm not very good at. And by making that hire, it was transformative because now I've got someone that I can give that stuff to, and they love doing that stuff, and they're in a position where they don't love the stuff that I do, and it's very complimentary, and then you kind of build from there. Rakesh, what has helped me is being in the right location, mixing with educated people. What do you mean by that? Could you expand on that? What has helped me is being in the right location, mixing with educated people. So I'm assuming, I could be wrong, but Rakesh, if you could expand on that, that'd be useful. I'm assuming you're talking about being in spaces where people know more about the challenges that you're facing than you do. They're educated in solving those problems, or they've solved those problems already. Is that what you mean? I can do, but words are limited on the chat. Oh, are they? That's good to know. It should be unlimited. Oh man, Umjar. Ding. There you go. Shall I make a donation to charity? Oh, okay. So what I was saying was correct. Good, good. Okay, so Entrepreneurs Coffee Club content on my YouTube channel at the moment is sparse. I am aware of that. And over the next couple of weeks and months, I will be filling that out and creating content. And I'm working on a little system that can work for me to allow me to create the content and also have it edited quite quickly so that it goes onto the channel and it can be watched. So I'm definitely going to be sharing like a lot of the coaching principles that I've been taught and been trained on now as well as a business coach, because some of them are just incredible and they should be common knowledge. So there's a great principle called above and below the line, which is like the point of choice. There's just like fundamentals on P&L and L and margins and things like that in business, which oddly a lot of people do not know about. The basics of getting your destination clear, goal setting we talked about earlier. So simple videos that share the fundamentals of what we all need and what we all should be focusing on consistently in our businesses to give us success, because without that it's difficult. And interestingly, last story I'll share from my meeting yesterday, they were talking about how a lot of the people that they meet came to the UK with nothing in the 50s and the 60s, and they built themselves up and they started off with corner shops. So everyone would buy a corner shop, and there was only a few that could go from one to two to three, because oftentimes they'd make one corner shop super successful. And as they, cheers, Rakesh, appreciate you joining. Yeah, absolutely. The more we share, the more we can connect. And so I'll just finish sharing this quick story quickly. So they grew these corner shops to be really successful, and then they tried to buy a second one. And oftentimes on the second one, they'd fail because the person was the business in the first corner shop. And then when they tried to expand, it just didn't work out and it would crumble. And there was only a few people that could figure out the code, figure out the kind of cheat code to make that second corner shop work. And then they'd buy a third corner shop, and there'd be more problems, but they'd figure those problems out as well. And then by the time they got to their fourth or fifth corner shop, they'd figured out the game, and then they could expand very quickly. And so there was a handful of these people that became entrepreneurs because they figured out the system to scale and to remove themselves from being the business. And they're the guys that went on to achieve insane success. And I'd love to somehow package that up and share it with everyone, because the figure out ability of someone is probably what contributes significantly to their success. And on that note, on that bombshell, cheers, Clarkson. We are at 10:30. I appreciate every single one of you joining me today, my family, my friends. Appreciate the love. Thank you for keeping me company, and new friends as well. I'll see you all next week. Peace.